My best friend's husband had been hurting her for years. In my last life, I finally snapped. I dragged my brother out in the middle of the night so we could break it up and get her out safely. And then the next morning, her husband was found dead. She looked the police in the eye and blamed my brother. One statement. One signature. When I saw it. That was all it took. My brother, who had done nothing but try to protect someone I called family, was convicted and sentenced to die. My mother wasted away from grief and fury, and with her last breath she blamed me for trusting the wrong person. My father cut me off like I'd never existed. My fiancée walked out like my heartbreak was contagious. And my best friend? She remarried within 6 months and posted a brand new life like nothing had ever happened. I didn't survive the weight of it. I wandered through my days like a ghost until one night, in a numb haze, I slipped, fell, and everything went black. Then I opened my eyes. I was back. Reborn, on the exact night she called me sobbing, the night I'd grabbed my brother and driven straight to that rundown apartment complex like a hero in a bad movie. My hands were on the steering wheel. My brother sat beside me, checking his watch like this was an errand. "Which building is Bella in again?" Brad asked. My stomach dropped. My whole body went cold, not from fear, but from memory. "Brad. Wait." I hit the brakes and grabbed his arm so hard he blinked at me. I left the stove on." He frowned. "Since when do you cook?" "I'm making a pot roast," I lied, forcing air into my lungs. "Go home. Now." He stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "Chloe, if Travis is hurting her." "I can handle it," I cut in fast. "Too fast. And if the place burns down, Mom will actually kill us. Please. Just go." He hesitated, jaw tight, still trying to be the person he'd always been, steady, protective, loyal to a fault. That loyalty got him killed last time. So I did what I had to do. I shoved him toward his car, talked over his protests, and didn't stop until he finally muttered, "Fine," and drove off. Only when his taillights disappeared did I let myself breathe. I stood outside Bella's door and heard the chaos inside, sharp shouting, something hitting something, her voice cracking into desperate pleas. My old instinct screamed at me to kick the door in. In my last life, we did exactly that. Brad pinned Travis down. Travis cried and swore he'd change. Bella clung to my sleeve and called me her sister. And the very next day, Travis was dead and my brother was blamed. Not this time. I knocked, light and casual, like I was dropping by for sugar. A second later, the lock clicked. Bella opened the door with wet cheeks and trembling hands. Her eyes snapped past me, searching. "Brad," she started, then froze when she realized it was only me. Her face shifted, just for a heartbeat, like someone who'd practiced a scene in the mirror and suddenly forgot their lines. "Where's Brad?" she demanded, voice rough. I gave her my sweetest, most concerned expression. "He had to go back. Emergency." Before she could protest, Travis appeared behind her, grabbed her by the hair, and yanked her backward into the apartment. Bella cried out. My body tensed. I didn't rush in swinging. I didn't play hero. I stepped into the doorway like I belonged there, like this was just messy couple drama and I was a friend who wanted to help. "Travis," I said, pitching my voice gentle, pleading. "Stop." He turned, chest heaving, eyes glassy with rage and whatever he'd been drinking. He looked at me like I was a fly he could crush. And then I did something I never would have done in my last life. I said the wrong thing on purpose. "Look," I added, slow and careful, like I was trying to reason with him, "even if she's been flirting or texting, that doesn't mean it's... You know. You can't lose it over words." Bella's head snapped toward me. "Chloe, what are you saying?" Travis paused, like a dog hearing a whistle. Then his expression twisted harder, uglier, and he lunged back toward her with renewed fury. Bella screamed my name like I'd betrayed her. Good. Let her feel it. Because the truth was, I wasn't there to save her anymore. I was there to make sure my brother didn't walk into a trap with his bare hands. Travis swung an arm toward me, and I stumbled back as if I was terrified. I'd come prepared in a small, stupid way, something ordinary I could hold if I needed to protect myself. But I wasn't trying to fight. I was trying to steer the disaster. Still, chaos doesn't follow plans. Travis snatched what I was holding in one violent motion, and in the next breath Bella cried out, stumbling as she took the hit. Not the kind that kills, but the kind that leaves you dazed, bleeding, and suddenly very fragile. Travis froze. Everything went quiet, the way it does when someone realizes they've crossed a line even they can't undo. "Travis," I said, voice sharp now, cutting through the shock. "She needs help. Now. You don't want this to become something you can't take back." He stood there, swaying, breathing hard, staring at Bella like he'd just met himself for the first time and hated what he saw. "I didn't call the police. Not yet. Last time, the police didn't save anyone. They just wrote the ending my best friend wanted. So I did the next best thing, I got her to the hospital." Travis carried her, trembling, mumbling apologies like that changed anything. I walked beside him, calm on the outside, thoughts racing on the inside. Because Travis hadn't died because of Brad. Someone had killed him. And the only person who benefited from that death was the woman currently lying limp in his arms, playing the part she always played, helpless, innocent, tragic. By sunrise, Bella was patched up. Nothing life-ending, but enough to make the nurses watch Travis with narrowed eyes. I played perfect friend, talking to staff, handling paperwork, staying close enough to look supportive but not close enough to be pulled back into her orbit. Travis hovered at the bedside like a man desperate to rewind time. "Baby, I'm sorry," he kept saying, voice breaking. "I love you. I didn't mean it." Bella stared at the ceiling with that familiar glassy expression, part victim, part saint. When someone suggested calling the police, Bella shook her head. "No," she rasped. He just needs help. I can handle it." I almost laughed. I left them there, wrapped up in their poisonous little love story, and headed home with one clear goal: keep Brad away from Bella, no matter what it cost me. Brad was in my kitchen when I walked in, unpacking breakfast burritos like this was any other morning. "How is she?" he asked. "They made up," I said, and the bitterness slipped out anyway. "Not our circus." He narrowed his eyes. "You didn't make a pot roast." I didn't answer fast enough. His gaze sharpened. "I drove back later. I saw you three getting into a cab." My blood turned to ice. He went back. If he'd stepped inside at the wrong moment, history would have snapped shut around him like a trap. I grabbed his shoulders. "Listen to me. If Bella asks, you were at the office all night. A business emergency. You understand?" He blinked. "Chloe, why are you acting like this? Bella's your best friend." "Sisters," I corrected automatically, because the word tasted like a lie and I needed him to hear the difference. "And that's exactly why you stay away from her." He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. I pulled him into a tight hug, breathing in the familiar scent of his cologne, the warmth of someone I'd already buried once. It hit me so hard my throat burned. "Let's stay alive this time," I whispered, forcing the words out. "Let's live long enough to get old and annoying." His expression softened. He ruffled my hair. "Old and wrinkly. Sounds like a plan." Then, like always, he tried to make it lighter. "Go study. You're the brains. I'm just the hustler." And he was brilliant enough to claw us out of poverty with sheer grit. He'd sacrificed school so I could keep mine. He'd built a company from nothing. Bought my parents a house. Bought me this condo. "A girl needs her own territory," he told me once. "So if a man treats you like dirt, you've got somewhere safe to go." I'd gotten him killed for being that kind of man. Not this time. I could handle being misunderstood. I could handle being the villain. I couldn't handle losing him again. But tumors don't disappear just because you cut them out once. A couple days later, I opened my door and found Bella standing there with swollen eyes and dramatic trembling lips, like she'd rehearsed in the mirror again. And behind her, holding her pink suitcase with the expression of someone trying to do the right thing, was my brother. "Chloe," Brad said, gentle. "Help her out. Get her stuff inside." Bella sniffled. "Travis hurt me again. I'm done. I'm divorcing him." I stared at her. Then I stared at Brad. And something hot, sharp, and furious surged straight through me. I didn't let her finish her little speech. "Bella," I said, voice flat, "you live on the west side. Brad's office is on the east side. That's almost an hour. You didn't run into him. You went looking for him." Her tears faltered. I grabbed the suitcase and shoved it back out into the hallway. "Get lost. Don't bring your bad luck into my home." Bella's face blanked for one stunned second, and then she snapped back into performance mode. Brad's voice rose. "Chloe. What is wrong with you? She's your best friend." He reached for the suitcase. I pushed it out again. He pulled it in. I pushed it out. His frustration flared. "Are you seriously doing this right now?" Bella saw the crack and slid right through it. She collapsed onto the floor and wailed loud enough to wake the dead. "My life is over. My husband hurts me, and now my best friend doesn't want me. What's the point?" Then she sprang up and bolted toward the stairs that led to the roof. My building was old. The roof access was one flight up. Brad swore and ran after her. I followed slower, because I already knew this scene too. Bella stood near the edge, shaking, screaming into the open air about how nobody loved her, how there was nothing left for her. Doors opened. Neighbors poured out. Someone's phone was already pointed, recording like tragedy was a hobby. A man shoved his camera toward me. "Look at her," he announced to his live stream. "Her friend is clearly not okay and she's just standing there." I turned my head slightly, bored. "If you care so much," I said, cold and loud enough for everyone to hear, "you take her in." He faltered. She's not." "Perfect," I cut in. "Then mind your business." The crowd murmured. Someone tutted. Someone whispered about how heartless I was. An elderly neighbor even muttered about property values like that was the real emergency. Bella's eyes flicked sideways, and I caught it, just a tiny flash of satisfaction beneath the tears. She wanted the audience. She wanted the pressure on Brad. She wanted me to look like the monster so she could look like the victim. And she wanted a repeat of my last life, where Brad played hero and got dragged into her mess. Not happening. Brad pleaded with her, hands out, voice shaking. "Bella, please. Come down. You can stay. Chloe doesn't mean it." "Yes, I do," I said, steady as stone. "This condo is in my name. Brad doesn't get to promise you anything." Bella's crying spiked instantly, louder, more desperate. The crowd reacted like she'd been stabbed. A police officer finally pushed through and barked at me, "Ma'am, stop antagonizing her. Help us calm her down." Bella watched everyone turn on me like she was soaking up sunlight. So I walked forward. Not rushing. Not panicking. Not begging. I stepped right up beside her, close enough to feel the tremble in her body, close enough to see the calculation behind her watery eyes. I reached out and gripped her shoulders, firm, unshaking. "All right," I said quietly, for her ears only, my voice sweet like poison. "Enough." Then I leaned closer, smiling like a sister. "And if you're going to put on a show," I murmured, "don't expect me to play my old role again." Her whole body stiffened. Not from grief. From shock. Because she recognized it, the way I wasn't reacting like her Chloe anymore. She sucked in a shaky breath and tried to shake my hands off. "Chloe, don't. Do it," I said softly. "If you're serious, do it." The rooftop went dead silent. The livestream guy who'd been calling me a monster blinked like his brain couldn't process what he was hearing. People started whispering, horrified, angry, fascinated. Bella's eyes flicked around the crowd again, searching for the right angle, the right sympathy, the right chorus of strangers to force Brad into saving her. And I ruined it. I turned to the livestream guy and said, loud and clear, "You were so worried, right? You should take her home. She can stay with you." His mouth opened. Closed. His wife, because of course she showed up, stormed onto the roof like a thundercloud and grabbed his ear so hard he yelped. "Are you out of your mind? You can't even handle your own family drama, and you're here auditioning to be Captain Save-A-Ho on the roof?" The crowd snorted. Phones shook with laughter. The man shrank 2 inches. Bella's performance wobbled, just for a second, because the attention wasn't clean anymore. Brad kept begging. Bella, please. You can stay. I'll talk to Chloe. No, I cut in. Brad can't offer you anything in my home. A firefighter stepped forward, trying to talk her down, trying to talk me down, trying to manage the mess. Ma'am, he said to me, exhausted and stern, please. Don't provoke her. Just help us get her down safely. I smiled at him like I was listening. Then I stepped even closer to Bella, so close our shoulders touched. Fine, I said, loud enough for everyone. If this is what you want, we can do it together. The firefighter's face went pale. Someone gasped. That old neighbor made a choking sound like she was about to faint. Bella whipped her head toward me so fast her hair hit her cheek. What? She hissed under her breath, eyes wide. I lifted my hands and placed them on her shoulders again, not gently. Not cruelly. Just steady. Let's jump, I said, sweet as candy. You first? I'm right here. Her lips parted. Her eyes darted down, then back to the crowd. Because she didn't want the fall. She wanted the spotlight. And I could see it all now, how she used danger like a weapon, how she used help me like a leash she wrapped around Brad's throat. Chloe, Brad warned, panic rising, stop. I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes on Bella. Come on, I coaxed, voice low, almost playful. You said you couldn't live. So do it. I'm not leaving you alone. Bella's breathing turned ragged. Her hands trembled, then clenched. She tried to yank away from me again. I didn't let her. Not until she made a choice. And finally, she snapped. She shoved my hands off and scrambled backward like I was the one about to pull her over the edge. Her face twisted and the mask slipped. She wasn't a fragile victim. She was furious. She lunged at me. People screamed. Hands reached. Someone grabbed my sleeve. I moved. Not dramatic. Not heroic. Just one clean step down onto the roof access stair, planting my feet like I'd been doing it for years. Bella's momentum carried her forward. She grabbed at air. For a horrible split second, it looked like she might actually topple, like her own performance might finally swallow her whole. And then Brad threw himself toward her and caught her, yanking her back so hard they both hit the ground. The crowd exhaled like they'd been holding their breath the entire time. Police hauled Bella away from the edge. They chewed her out. They chewed me out too, of course. Because the world hates a woman who refuses to play the part she's assigned. But the rooftop stunt was over. And Bella didn't get what she wanted. Not in my home. Not in my life. When everything finally calmed down and everyone left, Bella clung to Brad's hand like she was drowning. Brad. Please. I have nowhere to go. Absolutely not, I said, smiling. Brad looked torn, until I glanced at him and asked, quiet but sharp, are you going to let her in? His throat bobbed. I tilted my head. Because if you let her in, I'm going to make a choice you won't be able to take back. Understand? His face went white. He knew me. He didn't know this version of me, but he knew when I was serious. Okay, he said quickly. She's not coming in. Bella's head snapped up. Brad. Swear it, I demanded, eyes locked on my brother now. Swear you're done. Swear you won't get dragged into her mess again. He swallowed hard and raised his hand like he was in a courtroom. I swear. Chloe. I swear. Bella stared at him like he'd betrayed her. Then she turned to me, and the sweetness drained out of her eyes completely. As she walked away, she looked back once, one last time, and mouthed something I didn't need to hear out loud to understand. I'll ruin you. I shut the door and leaned against it, shaking. Brad tried to lecture me that night. He really did. He told me I was cruel. That Bella and I had been friends since we were kids. That our family didn't treat people like that. That a woman in trouble deserved help. I wanted to scream. How do you explain to the person you love most that the woman he feels sorry for is the same woman who buried him last time? So I tried a different truth. One he could swallow. She's not innocent, I said. Travis isn't hitting her for no reason. She's been playing games, talking to other men, stirring things up. Brad frowned. Even if that's true, nobody deserves. I know, I cut in. That's why we stay out of it. We don't go to her apartment. We don't answer her calls. We don't become her safety plan. He rubbed his face, exhausted. Chloe, you're acting like she's a poison. Because she is, I thought. Out loud, I said, just trust me. He did. Not completely. But enough. And then my parents did what parents do. They scolded me first, because that's their love language, hit you with guilt, then patch the bruise. My mom told me not to look at the nasty comments that started popping up online, like she didn't know curiosity would drag me there anyway. My dad said I should apologize because people talk. People did talk. They talked a lot. Because the rooftop video didn't stay on the roof. The livestream guy clipped the worst part, me telling Bella to jump, and posted it like I was a villain in a movie. It landed on TikTok, then Reels, then YouTube Shorts with captions like, "Woman tells her abused best friend to jump." My face was everywhere. And the internet did what the internet does. They picked a monster, and they fed it. They found my building, my phone number, my name, my school. My inbox became a landfill of curses, death wishes, people telling me I deserve to be alone forever. My mother cried and said, "This is what happens when you're cold." And I almost laughed, because in my last life, being warm got my brother killed. Brad took it worse than I did. He came home furious, phone clenched in his hand. "Bella went live," he said. "She's sitting there crying like some tragic saint. She's letting a million strangers comfort her while they tear you apart." I didn't look surprised. I looked tired. "Of course she did," I said. He paced my living room like a caged animal. "She's saying she was at the end. She's saying you pushed her. She's saying you're heartless." "I didn't push her," I said calmly. "I exposed her." Brad stared at me. "How are you so sure?" "Because I'd learned something in my last life. If you don't record the truth, someone else will record a lie." So I walked to my desk, opened a folder on my laptop, and clicked play. Brad froze as the screen lit up. My video, my angle, my full recording of the rooftop, from the moment I stepped closer to the moment Bella scrambled down the stairs like her life depended on it. It caught everything. Her eyes. Her little flashes of satisfaction. Her panic when I called her bluff. And the part nobody saw in the viral clip. The moment she lunged at me. The moment she tried to shove me. Brad's face went gray. She really. She was never going to jump, I said. She just wanted someone else to save her so she could own them. He swallowed hard. "Chloe." I didn't let myself soften. "Not yet." "I'm posting it," I said. "What if it makes things worse?" "It can't," I answered. "Because this time, I'm not letting her write the ending." I uploaded the full video. I didn't add a dramatic caption. I didn't beg the internet to believe me. I just let the footage speak. And because the internet loves a villain, but it loves a twist even more, the reaction flipped so fast it was dizzying. People who had called me evil yesterday were suddenly calling me sharp, brave, unapologetic. They said I clocked the manipulation, they said I ate her up. They apologized like they hadn't spit on me an hour ago, and then I posted the second piece. Because I hadn't just recorded the rooftop. I'd been watching Bella longer than that. I'd spent money I didn't even want to admit out loud, private investigators, screenshots, tracking the little cracks in her story, because I needed proof for the one thing everyone pretended not to see. Bella wasn't just texting. She was meeting someone. And not in coffee shops. When the photos hit the internet, blurry but clear enough, her leaving a hotel with a man whose face was partially blocked, people lost their minds. Bella's "I'm a victim" narrative cracked like glass. And then her live stream shattered. Because her husband, Travis, showed up. I didn't see it in person. I saw it the way the whole world did, screen recording after screen recording, reposted with captions and screaming emojis. Bella was mid-sob, trying to regain control, insisting it was a misunderstanding, insisting the man was family, insisting her pain was real. Then Travis appeared behind her like a storm. The camera shook. The live cut out. And for the first time, Bella couldn't edit the scene. She vanished. The internet moved on to its next feast. But I didn't. Because this wasn't just about being hated online. It was about the pattern. The trap. The reason my brother died last time. A few days after the chaos, I went to Brad's office to drop off paperwork for him, something boring and normal, something that reminded me we were still alive. In the elevator, a man stepped in and smiled like we were friends. Brad's business partner. Brad's brother, as he liked to call himself. Marcus. He clapped Brad on the shoulder and looked at me with that fake, concerned face. "Chloe, you should really clear things up with Bella," he said. "She's been through so much. Her childhood was rough, you know. Her parents split, she never had stability. And now her husband. And then the internet. It's too much." I watched his arm as he talked. Muscle. Veins. The kind of build you get from the gym. And suddenly, my stomach went cold. Because in the hotel photo, the man's face had been blocked. But his arm had been visible. "Marcus," I said softly, smiling back, "you know Bella?" He blinked. Just once. Then he chuckled like I'd made a cute joke. "You brought her around the office before, remember? That's your best friend." My smile didn't move. "Right," I said. "My best friend." The elevator dinged. Marcus stepped out like nothing had happened. But my brain was already screaming. That night, I barely slept. I kept dreaming of my last life, Brad in handcuffs, my mother's hollow eyes, my father's voice like ice cutting me loose. My fiancé's cold goodbye. Bella's wedding photo 6 months later, smiling like she'd won. And in that dream, near the end, I always felt it again. The shove. The sudden loss of ground. The moment I fell. I woke up at 2 in the morning with my heart trying to escape my ribs. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. I padded down the hall and saw Brad's bedroom door cracked open. Empty. My chest clenched so tight it hurt. I grabbed my phone and called him with shaking hands. He answered on the 3rd ring, breathing hard. "Chloe?" he said. "What's wrong?" "Where are you?" I whispered. He hesitated. And in that hesitation, I heard my last life screaming. "I'm heading over to Bella's place," he admitted. "Marcus called me. Said things are bad. Said Travis is there and..." "No," I said, voice sharp. "Brad. No. Get back here. Right now." "Chloe, Marcus is my partner. He's my brother. If he says..." "Then why isn't he there?" I snapped. "If Marcus called you, why isn't Marcus handling it?" Silence. Then Brad's breathing changed, like a man realizing he'd walked into a room and the lock clicked behind him. My stomach dropped. "Brad," I said, forcing calm into my voice, "listen to me. Don't knock. Don't go near the door. Go to your car. Leave." "I'm already in the hallway," he murmured. I didn't waste another second. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and ran. I knew Bella's building. I knew the fastest route. I told the driver to cut through side streets, and I held my phone like it was a lifeline. By the time I got there, I was shaking with adrenaline. And I saw him. Brad. Right outside her door. His hand lifted, about to knock. "Brad," I hissed. He spun, eyes wide, stunned to see me. I grabbed his sleeve and yanked him into the stairwell like I was kidnapping my own brother. "What the hell?" he started. "Shut up," I whispered. "Listen." From behind the door, I heard it. Bella's voice, high, broken, rehearsed, screaming for help. "Brad. Brad, please." Then the lock clicked. The door opened. Bella stood there with wet cheeks and shaking hands, exactly like the first night. "Brad," she started. And then she saw the hallway was empty. No brother. No hero. Just silence. Her face flickered, confusion, irritation, calculation, before she snapped back into panic. Brad? She called again, louder, like she could summon him by force. Then Travis appeared behind her. And just like last time, he grabbed her and dragged her back inside. The door slammed. The sounds got worse. Brad tensed like he was going to bolt. I gripped him harder. Brad, I whispered, eyes burning, you see it now? He stared at the closed door like it was a monster's mouth. How did she know I'd come? He whispered back. Exactly. We backed down the stairs and left. We didn't call attention. We didn't give them a witness. We went home, and I made Brad do something he'd hate. We staged an accident. Not a real one, nothing reckless. Just enough. A call to roadside assistance. A quick urgent care visit for a scraped arm. A timestamp. A record. An alibi. Because I knew what was coming. The next morning, the news spread like wildfire anyway. Travis was dead. Brad sat at my kitchen table like someone had unplugged him. If I had knocked, he whispered. I swallowed hard. You would have been the headline. He looked up, eyes bloodshot. Then who? I didn't answer. Because I already knew. Bella didn't stop. She just changed targets. This time, when the police came asking questions, she didn't say Brad's name. She said my fiancé's. Evan. The man I'd been engaged to in my last life. The man who'd left me the second my family got stained. And the worst part? In this life, I'd already ended it with him. Not because I was heartbroken. Because I'd recognized the smell of betrayal early. Evan had come back from a work trip with a designer bag he clearly hadn't picked himself, smiling like a man reading from a script. My coworker said this one is really popular, he'd said. What coworker? I'd asked, too fast. His smile had faltered. What's her name? I'd pressed. His face had hardened. Chloe. I just got back. Can we not do this? And that was the moment I knew. I handed him the engagement ring back like it was nothing. I'd slid the bank card he'd given my family for the engagement across the table. What are you doing? He'd snapped. Growing up, I'd said. Adults don't pretend they don't see what's in front of them. My parents had exploded. Brad had backed me. Evan had stormed out. And a week later, in my last life, he would have married his coworker with a fresh grin. So when the police said, Bella claims Evan was there, I almost laughed. Almost. Because Bella's lies weren't random. They were strategic. Evan had been at her apartment. He admitted it. He said he'd gone to help. He said he tried to stop Travis. He said he'd left when things got too dangerous. And the evidence, the messy stuff people don't understand, linked him to the scene. Just like it had linked Brad last time. Just like it was designed to. Evan was drowning. His parents showed up at our door the way my parents had shown up at theirs in my last life, desperate, ashamed, pleading. I watched Brad comfort them and felt something bitter twist in my chest. Because my family always tried to be good. Even when goodness got us killed. That night, after everyone left, I sat at my computer and opened a hidden feed. Because on the first night, reborn, shaking, realizing the pattern, I had done one thing differently. I'd planted a tiny camera in Bella's apartment. Not out of revenge. Out of survival. The footage was grainy. Silent. But it was clear enough. I watched Evan show up. I watched him argue with Travis. I watched him shove Travis back, nothing fatal, just desperate, messy, human. I watched Evan leave with Bella. And then, minutes later, Marcus walked in. Hat low. Mask. Sunglasses. Like he knew the drill. Travis, bruised and furious, tried to get up. Marcus didn't hesitate. He moved like a man finishing a task. Travis struggled for a moment. Then he didn't. I sat there, hands clenched so tight my nails hurt, staring at the screen like it could burn my eyes. Then Marcus turned toward Bella, who'd reappeared like a ghost. They stood close. Too close. And even without audio, I could read the shape of the words on her mouth. We pinned it on him. 3 birds, 1 stone. Travis gone. Brad out of the way. The company. Theirs. My blood went so cold it felt like I wasn't even alive. So I did what Bella had never expected. I took my proof and handed it to the police, anonymously, cleanly, with timestamps. And I waited. The arrests came fast. Marcus, dragged out of his office in handcuffs. Bella, pulled in with her mascara streaking, her mouth open in a scream that didn't move anyone. Evan was released. Not because anyone cared about him, but because the truth finally had teeth. Marcus was convicted. Bella, because she was pregnant, didn't get the same sentence, but she didn't get freedom either. She ended up wearing an ankle monitor, trapped in a life she couldn't livestream her way out of. When I saw her again, she stared at me like I was a stranger wearing my face. How? She whispered, voice shaking with something that wasn't sadness. How did you know? I stepped closer. Come. You gave yourself away, I said. The first night. The way you looked past me for Brad. The way you loved the audience more than you loved your own life. Her eyes went wild. I had the perfect plan, she hissed. The perfect scapegoat. Why did you change? I didn't answer the way she wanted. I didn't tell her about rebirth. I didn't tell her about my mother dying, about my father cutting me off, about Brad's last breath being stolen by a lie. I just leaned in and said, quietly, I'm done being your hero. She shook her head fast, like she could shake the truth off. You're not Chloe, she spat. You're not. I smiled. I also know, I added, soft and sharp, that baby you're carrying isn't Marcus's. Her face turned blank. Then it cracked. She lunged at me, hands snapping toward my throat, eyes blazing. The officer beside her yanked her back before she could touch me. Bella screamed until her voice broke, thrashing like an animal caught in a trap. And for the first time, she looked terrified. Not of consequences. Of me. Brad never fully recovered from how close we'd come. Sometimes I'd catch him staring at nothing, like he was seeing the alternate ending that almost happened. Chloe, he'd say quietly, if you hadn't. Don't, I'd cut in, because I couldn't stand the weight of it. Just. Don't. Weeks passed. Then months. And on a bright, stupidly beautiful day, blue sky, clean air, Brad took our family hiking. My parents. Brad. Me. We climbed until the city looked small beneath us. When I reached the top, I inhaled like I could breathe the last life out of my lungs. For one perfect second, I thought. We did it. We survived. Then I felt it. A hand. A shove. My stomach dropped. My foot slipped on loose gravel, my body tipping forward, the world tilting into that familiar, horrifying angle. And I screamed. I flailed and caught someone's wrist. Strong. Steady. It yanked me back so hard I stumbled into solid ground. I whipped around, shaking, heart hammering, ready to see a stranger. It was Brad. He was holding my arm like he'd never let go. And he was smiling. Not his normal smile. Not warm. Not confused. Knowing. Easy, he said softly, like we were sharing a secret. I've got you. My mouth went dry. Brad? His eyes held mine, and something in my chest cracked open. Because suddenly, in the back of my mind, I heard a voice like a memory. A goodbye. A promise. That night, I dreamed again. I dreamed of Brad floating somewhere weightless, light around him like mist. He smiled at me the way he had on the mountain. Chloe, he said gently, be good in that world, okay? My throat tightened. What world? He didn't answer it directly. He just looked at me like he loved me more than anything. Live, he whispered. I'll always find you. I woke up with tears on my face and my hand pressed to my chest like I could hold my heart in place. And for the first time since being reborn, I let myself believe something I hadn't dared to believe before. Maybe I didn't come back alone. Maybe this wasn't just my second chance. Maybe it was his, too. And if you're still here, still listening, then you already know what I learned the hard way. Sometimes the person you call your best friend isn't a sister. She's the trap. And if you don't stop playing your role, you'll die in her story. Not this time. Not ever again. Thanks for watching.